Doug.
Yeah.
Half a cup of coffee's gone. The first run comes in. A car slid off the road. There's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer. I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes. We're just ordinary people trying to make a difference. And the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone.
Welcome to Making a Difference Wednesday here in the Fishbowl. You are listening to the Mad Radio Show with John and Sam. Hey, Sam.
Hello, hello.
Hey, and we are broadcasting you live from Globe Life Park, the heart of the entertainment district here in Arlington, Texas. It is July 29th, and we are having a wonderful week. Healing Our Heroes, man, that's what this is all about. That's what this episode's about. I want to welcome Kim Wadsworth. And on our line, we have Doug Monda from Florida. Doug, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're far away, though.
Can you activate his camera?
I don't know if he can activate his camera, but he's on the line. So
Yeah.
Are you having a little hard time hearing us?
I got you.
Okay. Well, just stand by real quick. So, Sam, let's get right into this, man. How you doing?
No, good. I think we've started to turn a little bit of a corner. There are a lot more people, I'll say, paying attention to what's going on, the narratives, and it's very interesting. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and it's hosted by retired Navy SEAL, was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was talking about how when he was in Iraq, and he had a very specific job. It was here's intel on the bad guys, go grab the bad guys, and that's what they did. And the one comment that he made I thought was very poignant, because it points to exactly what's going on in America. Now, I know everyone's going to be like, wait a second, the war in Iraq is what's going on in America? Yes, it is. That's what Sam is saying. And the reason I say that is because when Saddam Hussein, his regime was finally removed from power, there wasn't a backup plan that was immediately put in place. So what happened? All of those people who wanted to take advantage of nobody in power, it was the rioters, the people that basically, it was lawlessness.
Right.
They were free to roam the streets, to shoot who they wanted to shoot, to kill who they wanted to kill, and then came the looting. Okay, I'm not making this stuff up, folks. This is history, and yes, we're trying to erase that too. Okay, this is in the history books. This is from boots on the ground, veterans that were there. Do you not see a correlation to what has happened in some of the cities around our beloved United States? We remove law and order, and we don't have any.
Right.
These cities don't have anything in place. Let's just take down the cops, disband, and we got nothing. So what happens? Same thing.
History repeats itself.
That want to take advantage of the lack of law and order come forward, and they do it violently. We had another very messy weekend.
Yes. I mean,
many more killed right here in Austin.
Right here in Austin.
It's personal because
New
this
York.
person in Austin that got killed, Steve knows.
Oh my God.
Who I think it's her, the fiance.
New York had another,
yeah.
I think, 12 innocent lives taken. One kid was shot in a bodega just because he walked into the store and bumped into somebody. That person pulled out a gun outside and shot him in the chest a couple times just because he bumped into him. Why do you get shot just for bumping into somebody?
Yeah, well, that's what I say.
Have we lost? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Whatever. Why does it come down to taking out a firearm and hurting an innocent life just because you bumped into him? Where have we gone as a society? Where have we gone as human beings? How do we treat each other that way? Where we could just feel the need that we could just life is so
life doesn't matter.
Life doesn't matter, that because you bumped into me,
right,
I can take your life.
Well, it's the lack of humanness that we talked about for many, many months now.
Right.
Kind of this void that we're falling into, and it's, if you don't agree with my narrative, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Saddam Hussein killed how many people? Murdered how many thousands of people?
Right.
Because they didn't agree with him? Sorry, folks. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
we're
a blameless society.
Kim's a veteran. She's seen a lot of crazy crap.
Yep.
It's
yeah. Let's move on to why we're here today, and
so
that's
we need to heal.
Healing our heroes. We had a Chicago deputy chief yesterday take his own life at Station House. We've had what I'm hearing today is we had a Trenton police officer take his life today. We are up to about 98 suicide deaths in the law enforcement community, and now more than ever, the families are being held front line and center on the media. So I want to welcome also on the line, we have Doug Monda. He is with Survive First out of Cocoa Beach, Florida. Welcome, Doug.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hey, Samantha.
Hey, you can call me Sam. Everybody else does. Except for my mom, and you're clearly not my mom.
and Doug, I know you met Kim. Kim was on your Trauma Behind the Badge. Kim is in the studio with us today as well.
Yeah, we had fun with that.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, wild girl.
Hey, you guys have been talking offline. No, when we talked about healing our heroes, and you brought this up to me, Doug. You actually, after we did the comedy show out in Florida, how laughter does save lives, laughter does heal, and it is the best medicine. And you are a direct result of that on how you felt once you left the comedy show. Now, can you share that with us a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you first why I think it's so important. And unfortunately, we're in a time in our lives where nothing is going to be a quick fix. Just like Sam was saying, we're getting it from every angle. And I'll speak just from a first responder standpoint, but also as a dad and a husband and just a regular American citizen. There is no way you can go or turn in this day and age and feel relief. Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a day-to-day thing.
And in the law enforcement or first responder side, receiving help, whether we get it from the top, meaning new training, new education, we need that. That will come. The conferences that we're attending, they're getting monotonous. The stuff that we're doing is not really working effectively. It's not working quick enough. Thank God we have something, but it's just not enough, especially with the onpouring trauma that we're dealing with on a daily basis. Everybody, any American right now is being beat to death all day, every day, and you can't escape it. And so with that being said, what can we do? And in all my years of traveling and dealing with police departments and speaking, I see the different waves of things that are helping people. But one thing I observed that helps everybody, I don't care what your problem is, who you are, or what you do, when somebody makes you laugh, for that moment, life is good.
Absolutely.
Don't matter if you got terminal cancer or you're at a funeral, whatever. Somebody makes you laugh for that second in your life. Life is good. Do you agree or disagree?
Absolutely.
100% agree.
It takes you it takes you out of, your brain can't focus on that which is causing you pain if you're laughing.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And on a medical standpoint, I don't know what it is, but I've heard that laughing does something to the body. It boosts your morale or something of that nature. You'd have to get some fancy doctor on the show to answer that question. But
I just read an article.
Chemically,
I just read an article from the Mayo Clinic that they put out pretty recently, within the last month. You can probably Google it, about how laughter helps trigger brain responses that help you overcome things in the moment. So I can't remember the name of the article, but it was from the Mayo Clinic.
Yes, we're none of us on the line are doctors, nor did we stay in Holiday Inn Express last night. So, yeah,
Right.
let's Google stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
But yes, you're absolutely right. It does have a scientific background, because I read an article where the therapists are actually using laughter now
yes.
in their therapy sessions with folks.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, Kim, you know, you're a veteran. You suffered some post-traumatic stress. You've suffered some. No, but you've also suffered other traumas throughout your life.
Sure.
Right? So besides laughter in the audience aspect, you being a comedian, that also helps you heal by getting on stage and making people laugh. So it's a twofold thing, you know, spreading the laughter and then the laughter itself.
Right.
So I mean, being on stage, how does that help your performance?
Right now is pretty tough because we're not on stage.
Right.
So we're kind of encapsulated in our own weirdness. But man, it's the best thing, and you know this. You know this firsthand.
Yeah.
To be able to put that smile on somebody's face, or have somebody come to you after the show and you know, they want to get their picture taken with you, and they want to tell you how funny you are, and they just relive that over and over, and then they start repeating your jokes back to you and what specifically made them laugh, and that's awesome. You go, man, I got through. You know, I broke down the barrier.
You know, and that's exactly with Doug. When we were in Florida, and Doug came up to me and he said, you know, him and his wife came up after the show and said to me, he's like, you know, I haven't laughed in a long time. That really felt good.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I could do 1,000 shows. And you know what? That right there made me feel so good. Just those words, that I haven't laughed in such a long time, that I was able to provide that feeling for him, you know? Doug, your response to that?
Yeah.
All right, that was a great response.
And that was Doug.
That was Doug right there.
that's why you guys are on stage.
I didn't know if you were checking if I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Test one,
No,
two.
I
Is
said-
this thing on?
You know, I said when we met in Florida, you know, you came up to me after the show and you said, you know, you haven't laughed in a long time. And as a comedian and as somebody who was performing for that show, that had a huge impact on me, because I knew what you went through. I knew what you were battling, and to feel that I was able to put some type of laughter inside you and make you smile, that really made me feel good. And that helps me with my own demons, you know?
Yeah. It couldn't have been at a better time, John, because as you remember, part of my trauma is twofold. I've had two suicide attempts, and one of them was when I broke my back.
Right.
And I watched my entire life go down the drain. My athletic career, my professional career, I was watching everything come undone. It impacted me heavily for many, many years. And unfortunately, this year I had to have all that surgery over again. So, you caught me like a week after my surgery.
You were
correct?
still wearing the brace.
And
you still had the brace on.
Yeah, I still had so I had 5 vertebrae fused. I was in tremendous amount of pain, and just the night. I mean, I remember it vividly, John. Just that night, I laughed. I'm about to start laughing thinking about it. I laughed so hard at that show, and it just made the thing so much better to relieve the pressure, to get me over that hump. Because I was struggling at that time, and when I went to you, I was like, "There's nothing better than laughter. There's nothing better to soothe any kind of trauma or pain or misery than a good laugh."
Yeah, and I want to. And when I say a ripple effect on this, when we talk about families in the first responder field who see these stuff on TV and they really care for their spouses, right? His wife Karen was there at the show, and she was able to see Doug laugh. So what do you think that does to Karen? She, his wife goes, "Wow, a sign of relief," kind of like.
He's a different person.
He's a different person. Like it's like medication just kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
So it not only helps Doug, it not only helps the comedian on stage who is battling, it helps his wife, his spouse, go. It's nice to see him laugh for once in a while. So look at the ripple effect that has just by telling bad jokes.
Well, and he touched on something. Doug touched on something too. That he's telling the story. He's reliving the story that was almost a year ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he says, "Oh, I'm gonna laugh just thinking about it." So it enables him to take himself back to that place and think about what happened a year ago and how that impacted his life, and he gets a little chuckle out of it.
Right.
And that makes him feel good all over again. So it has a long lasting effect on people if they can get back to that place.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's repetition. And then when Doug came to me, a few months later and said, "Hey, listen, I got this idea that we could take across the country, healing, doing something with laughter." And when I brought it to Sam, and Sam was like, "Yes, let's do this," and I got you on board, Kim,
Right.
because you are just such a big part of this whole healing thing, and you've been such supportive of laughter saves lives and everything else.
She's funny as hell.
And she's funny as hell, And we, the networking and the people that we've met through trauma behind a badge, and we could really help a lot of heroes, a lot of our first responders, with laughter, and travel. Do a 2021 once this whole COVID thing is lifted and the restrictions are
Right.
and we could start getting into on stage.
Right.
I mean, it's such a different experience because, Doug, you started the conversation by saying, guys, and I mean girls included with that, the guys in the department, they're going to another in-service day or whatever it is to listen to another doctor, no offense, docs, lecture on post-traumatic stress. Okay. They've gotten a lot of that. There's a lot of great organizations. There's a lot of organizations that haven't been vetted out there, but everybody's trying to make a difference. And what it seems to be is cookie cutter. I mean, that is one reason why we started a badge of honor, and we have the people that we do. You, John, me,
Right.
Jeff,
John.
and John. You, John. The other one, John, Jeff, and Sam. Because you're not getting. We have the clinicians, but they're not standing up there and lecturing to you. You're doing actual exercises. You are involved in the entire conversation, the entire 4 to 8 hours, whichever you would like, that we're with you.
Right.
And this, healing our heroes through comedy, through laughter, this is a huge piece of the puzzle that is missing. It doesn't exist in any other program out there. We are pioneers. Woo-hoo.
No, actually, we are not pioneers. We are pioneers in the law enforcement. But we're not pioneers in this because Travis Howe, we've had him on the show, House,
Yeah.
who wrote the book. He has been doing this for the last few years at FDIC with the fire department.
Okay, but I mean, in terms of having an organization.
Oh, having an
yeah,
right.
That's what I mean. Having an organization that can do two things. So you get, let's say we have a day event. You get us. Yes, you'll laugh during the day. We'll tell stories. You'll get to connect. You'll see that PTS is not this big scary thing that lives in the closet. We're all good. We can talk about it. You can get help that you need, and then at the end, it's kind of like, people are still feeling a little pressure. Maybe it brings back some memories. And then you just let the pressure valve off because in comes Kim and John and Sam and Doug. We go into the corner and we help like switch buttons and stuff while you guys are up there and just cracking the place up. And it's, I'm so sorry I missed the show in Florida because that's like was the last in-person comedy show,
Pretty
one
much,
of the last
yeah.
ones
Right.
till that in existence.
That was in February.
And
Yeah.
I think you touched on something too that's very important, Sam. Whenever you have a doctor constantly talking to you, a clinician talking to you about what it is and how to combat it, they're not maybe going through it or haven't gone through it. So with you guys being there, having gone through some issues and having your own
PTS shit
feelings
stories,
and PTS stories and what you've gone through, then all of a sudden you've got people going, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, I can connect to that, and it's connecting those dots that are missing from a doctor just getting up there going, and this is PTS, and this is what it does to your brain, and you know what I mean? It's not so structured and it's not so regimented, and now people they have that human connection.
That's what it's all about,
Right?
Because like Doug and what you touched on, Kim, is that they walk away. First of all, they're walking away with tools that they can use. They're walking away laughing, but it's in their memory now, so they can look back and say, hey, remember that thing that we went with Kim and John and Sam and John and Jeff? And
Yeah.
the
J's.
Yeah, and lots of J's.
Lots of J's.
And it will always be there because the experience is so unique.
Well, that's
fun.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
But you like, and getting back to what you just said, Kim, about touching on a reality, and brings me back to Doug and his team of Trauma Behind the Badge. And when we went on that webinar, you felt a camaraderie or a companionship that you never really feel anywhere else, and
Right.
you felt comfortable enough to open up. And I got to give kudos to Doug's whole team on that.
Yeah, because we're on Zoom, by the way, folks. We're not like live sharing the same space. We are all behind our computers.
Weren't swapping spit or nothing.
Yeah. But I mean that really was impactful.
Yeah.
And you never think a Zoom meeting could be.
Yeah. Everybody walked away with that little lump in their throat,
right.
And I remember Frank going, maybe I'm in the wrong place. I only help people. I don't know. And I'm like, no, you're the exact reason, because you've helped so many people.
Yeah. And, like I said, and the whole team of Trauma Behind the Badge, you got to check that out, traumabehindthebadge.org, I believe, right? Doug?
.com.
Check out traumabehindthebadge.com and be part of there. Just listen in, man, and and you'll see a group of guys that really take it to the next level in post-traumatic stress, and talk about the reality of it, and that's a healing aspect as well, because being around other people that feel that same.
Well, you're with a group of people that we've all been through the shit. The events are different, but we can all talk about pretty much the suicide attempt or multiple suicide attempts. We've all done harm to ourselves in some way, whether it be finding every day at the bottom of a bottle or starting the day at the bottom of a bottle.
Day drinking, that's what I call that. Day drinking.
There you go. It's we have that connection, and so if you're a first responder and you're listening, if you want to pass this on, Trauma Behind the Badge, traumabehindthebadge.com. It's once a month, correct? Is that correct, Doug?
No, it's become so successful. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Wow.
All right, I'm putting that out in the comments. Okay. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
And the thing that I found amazing being on that webinar with these guys is these are tough guys. These are macho guys. These are dudes that you look at and you go, oh, that guy doesn't have any feelings. And then to hear them talk about stuff, it's like, wow, that was so insightful and impacted me. I'm like, these are guys that you don't expect to get in touch with their feelings. And I think and it's not just guys, it's girls too, but I'm saying guys universally. A lot of people don't want to delve into that, or they're trying to repress that or suppress that rather. And they're afraid to let that out, or whatever that is, or they think they're too tough or too strong, or their job or whatever it is.
It's your condition that way. You're trained that way, not to show weakness, not to show.
Yeah. And it's not a weakness, P.S. It's not a weakness.
And that's the stigma that we're trying to change.
Yeah.
It's not a weakness. But you know what I do want to get into real quick while we're on the post-traumatic stress. We're seeing a lot of this stuff on the news now. A lot of this stuff is 24/7, no matter what channel you turn on to. We're seeing the effects of defund the police. We're seeing the effects of the George Floyd murder. We're seeing the effects of the rioting and what our police, fire, and EMS are going through. The rioters have damaged millions of dollars worth of emergency equipment, and the families that are now watching this are finally seeing an upfront view of what their spouses go through on a daily basis. Now, that is what you would call secondary PTSD, right?
Secondary trauma,
Secondary trauma. And, we're seeing this suicide epidemic in our law enforcement and our first responders increase. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a lot of these family members either becoming addicted to some sort of narcotic or alcohol because they're going to try to deal with it and try to hide it because they're not trained, or we're going to see a suicide rate within and a divorce rate within the family members.
The family splitting up, because you've got the first responder in crisis, then you may have the I'll call it the supportive party, the spouse, significant other, now in crisis,
right?
And that is a ticking time bomb if there's no help.
And you guys know this too. Being on the front lines, you guys realize that your partners at home, your support system at home, they're always scared for you, but they didn't exactly know.
Exactly.
Yep.
They don't really want to know sometimes because it's scary. It's a scary thing to them. They just pray that you come back.
They don't want that phone call. They don't want to see the phone call.
That's right.
But
or
now
the car pull up.
Or the car pull up.
And now it's 24/7 like
now
you
they
said.
turn on the TV and
in their face.
it's right there. Doug, any thoughts on the family
and you got
members?
The kids too.
Yep.
No, the family members. I agree 100%. Like I was saying earlier, it's affecting everybody.
Yeah. Now our we will say that we'd love to have, families at everything that we do. The comedy show is what would you rate it? Like
it depends. I mean,
like 17.
PG-17?
PG-16.
Well,
PG-16.
It actually
sometimes.
it depends on
exactly.
it depends on how Kim is feeling.
My stuff's usually PG-16.
Yeah.
I can usually slide some stuff in, or not too many F-bombs or weird things.
I was just thinking.
I was just thinking about one of he's already laughing. I think we're thinking of the same act. I don't know if that would go over with parental units there with child.
It does. Let me. I did that bit, and we're talking about I think we're talking about the Texas law and my famous bit there.
And please feel free to enlighten our audience who has never seen. You're on now.
You've never seen my dildo bit? Okay, so anyway, it's not really a dildo bit. It's a thing about laws and how they relate to guns and things and weird stuff. So I was at the Flying Saucer in Capel, Texas. It was one of their first open mics, and Brittany Goss runs that show, and she says, whatever, do whatever you want. It's a restaurant bar thing, but do whatever. And it was all comedians except for the table right up front, which was a grandfather, a mom and dad, and a 16-year-old son. And I get to this part of my act, and I'm just hell-bent on not changing it. I'm just going to see how this flies. And I look right at the 16-year-old, and I said, this is going to get real uncomfortable for one of us. And I go into my bit and I do the thing, and I mean, I'm probably red-faced and everything else, and I just kind of slither off stage afterwards. And when the show was all over, whenever I was over, it was about 5 minutes later, the dad came around and found me, and he goes, "That was so funny." So I did that in front of parents and a 16-year-old kid, and they loved it because it's not dirty. It's
not
just
dirty.
it's just a comparison between some weird stuff that goes on.
Right.
So,
Well, I was just thinking about your Facebook post today about something about the G spot. And I was just like, you couldn't find a G spot, and I was like,
yeah. Well, you know.
You take it to that. See, and that's what I love about Kim is she takes it right to the edge, and then leaves your mind to go over it or come back.
That's right.
She's just pushing you on the edge a little bit.
I'll give you all the information you need.
Whichever way you want to go, that it's all up to you. But that's why I love you so much. You make me laugh. I mean, I just think about some of the things you say, and I chuckle, and I just chuckle, and it's great. And I can't wait to partner up with Survive First and Trauma Behind a Badge, and really be able to start making an impact to the first responder community and the families, because I really think this will have a huge impact going forward. When COVID restrictions are released and things do start to get back to normal, we're going to have a problem with everybody that's going to be inside their own head. And I don't think he's listening right now, so I'm because he's not in the Wi-Fi area. But the last couple of days, I've been dealing with a veteran that 6 months ago he left. I don't know if you guys read my Facebook posts, but he came out of treatment, and I picked him up the other day, and I got him in another place right now. But he's by himself, and he's in his own head, which is probably not the greatest place to be. So there's some other veterans helping him out. But I've been speaking to him for the last couple of days, and I can feel it that he's right on that edge. And that's what's going to happen to our first responders, because once they stop their 12-hour tours, once everything starts dying down, and they start to relive what they've gone through, we are going to have a major issue on our hands, and that's going to be devastating for families and friends and our first responders as well.
Yeah, Leandra's entire family is firefighters. It's to her brother-in-law, her brother-in-law's brother, and her brother-in-law's two sons. They're all firefighters, and then one of the wives is a nurse in the Air Force, and so they're getting it from all directions. So I don't know how it plays out, but I know things are pretty chaotic.
Well, something what you said the other day. They had a fire. Remember when you said the fire trucks the riders blocked the fire truck from going? This was about a month ago.
Yeah, in Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
They just had that same exact thing happen. I forgot which state it was in, but people blocked the fire truck from going to a fire. So
they started the fire.
They started. No. They didn't start this fire.
Okay.
But there was a fire. A baby was trapped in the house. Rioters and anarchists blocked the street so the fire department couldn't get through. And the baby had died. They lost a child. I saw the chief of the fire department on the news the other day. He was hysterical crying because this was a loss of life that didn't have to happen over blocking the street. Let the fire department through. Be pissed off at the cops as much as you want to be. Do not take this out on the fire department. Do not take this out on emergency medical technicians. They have nothing to do with this. They're just trying to save lives.
Well, I'm pretty sure the police were probably dispatched as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they were too.
Yeah.
But
and oh man, I'm going to piss some people off probably, but
I think I started the show by pissing people
yeah.
off. So
Well, here's the thing: we can be all ticked off at the police and whoever you want to be ticked off, at, but in the time of emergency, are you going to be ticked off enough where you're not going to make the phone call to have help?
Right.
Are
you not going to call 911 if it's one of yours?
Or
right.
do you want to call 911? I mean, I guess that's what you need to ask yourself when you're doing this. I understand part of this protesting thing. Let me emphasize that. But whenever it's your time to need services,
right.
you're not going to be pissed anymore, right? You're going to be frantically needing services.
Right.
I don't know. You got to ask yourself some tough questions, I guess.
That's why I say that everybody involved in this, and you're the one that has to wake up and look at yourself in the mirror and somehow, because I can't wrap my head around it. It's just as it goes against everything that I'm made up of. Somehow tell yourself that what you're doing and the things that you're supporting are right.
Right. I somebody posted, and I don't know who, so I would be lying to say that, on Facebook the other day, that they were pissed off because they they had a flat tire along a road, and there was not much of a shoulder, and they just kept getting cars blowing by them. They couldn't figure out how to get the tire off, whatever it was. And so they waited there till a police officer finally showed up, just happened to be driving that route, and then was pissed because the police officer couldn't get her jack, done or whatever it was. And he was like, well, we're not even training these guys. I'm like, they're not trained to fix your flat tire.
Call AAA.
Right.
I mean, yeah, and then he kept saying in his thing, well, maybe I should have called AAA. I'm like, maybe you should have called the right person for the right job.
Hey,
but you expect them to come and save your kitten out of the tree and your flat tire and stuff. It's like, pick a battle.
I have seen
Yeah.
more police officers lately on the side of the road helping people out with flat tires or car trouble.
Trying to do the good guy duty just to get back in good graces.
Well, I think it's just who we are.
Right.
I mean, we see somebody in distress, somebody that needs help, and it doesn't have to be, they're not being a victim of like a crime at that moment. It's just somebody that needs help.
Well, it goes back to
And-
can't paint everybody with the same broad brush.
Yeah.
Well, and you
just
can't make everybody happy, right?
Right.
Doug, how's things in Florida with protests and restrict, with all this stuff? What's the tempo in Florida with law enforcement?
Well, it's not near as bad as some of the places. I've got to say the chiefs and the sheriffs in Florida have been very proactive with community policing over the years, and they've been able to maintain a good relationship with the community. Obviously, we had Trayvon Martin right next door to me, and that was a big issue throughout the United States, remember?
Yes.
But the craziest thing was here there was nothing. But it was all everywhere else. So they've done a good job. And then it's also Florida. So we're the land of the South, and it's a strong Republican area. There's a lot of country and redneck boys carrying guns. And if you bring that crap here, you'll get your butt whooped.
Gee,
That's just
sounds
how
like,
these guys operate down there.
Yeah.
See,
So
Sounds like Texas.
we haven't dealt with it much.
You hit on a key word, what you just said, and that's community policing, which I think is something that when you talk about defunding the police departments, that is something we should really actually fund, is more community policing and get cops out of the cars and back on patrol and meet and greet and talk to neighborhood people, because that gives it a more personal relationship than just 5-0 driving by in a car looking for criminals.
Well, that was the best part about New York City.
Right.
About it, because you could. I mean,
you
you could
able-
be in New York City on any given day, and the police were out walking around.
My first year on patrol, and I worked in an all-black neighborhood. My first year on patrol, I worked. I did a foot post. So I got involved with the community. I spoke to the store owners. I spoke to the neighborhood kids. I spoke to moms and grandmas, and I walked around, and I wasn't hidden in the car, so I was able to communicate, and that played such a huge role in the rest of my police career, because I got to know, as a white kid from the suburbs, I got to know how the black community is. You can't just throw me in there because it would be culture shock. You have to talk to them. You have to talk to people and learn what their culture is all about.
Right.
And I sat down with a 7-year-old black woman who went through the civil rights.
7-year-old?
70-year-old black
okay.
woman who went through civil rights movements and everything else. And she sat me down and explained everything to me. Some white kid from Long Island. She explained to me, and I understood. I said, "Wow, I can't understand it, but I felt for what she went through." And I said, "You know what? I would have never known that if I was sitting in a police car and I didn't get to walk the streets and talk to people." So I learned the culture of what it was to grow up in that type of I guess era.
Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be careful with the term. What do you call it? Community policing. I'm thinking that's more like community patrolling. Because whenever you use the word police, I think that gives them the false impression that they can just maybe overextend their boundaries. Because there's got to be some boundaries to that too.
I think that term came out of
Police
like
Academy.
research. So actual research and statistics. They called it let's look at community policing, and you would analyze all the statistics. I remember from criminology and criminal justice, and it was literally something that came out of a textbook. But I'm all for changing names of things. But on the last show we talked about why we must not defund the police, because they need more money for training. And for bringing back programs, we'll call it a community foot patrol or community
100%.
support.
Just get involved.
Get involved.
Right.
And by defunding, right now, look at New York City. They can't even accept any more retirement papers because they are overloaded. You are losing right now. You are losing very good, experienced, trained cops, mentors, and such. Right? You're losing that for because people are jumping off the job, and now you're going to have a lot of inexperienced officers on the job who do not know how to work the streets, do not know how to communicate with people. Let's spend more money on getting the bad cops out, identifying the rogue cops, and changing the culture, But if we defund, we're only going to light the flame to make police officers worse on the streets.
Right.
Is what's going to happen.
Hey, John, can I chime in on,
Sure, yes.
on that?
Yep, come on.
Good.
So, I wanted to start off with the community policing thing. It's really hard for me to hear you guys, but I think Kim was talking about calling, the name community policing. Well, community policing has several different components, and where that name community policing came from, part of it is about the police agencies and departments getting out into the streets and interacting with the community, bringing the community involvement together with the police department. And that word community policing is saying, hey, the community can also police the community, and let's find new ways of talking to each other and solving crime as a community as a whole, and not just the cops. And what you were saying also, to re-educate the cops. Well, we got a couple issues with that. One being the new police officers in this day and age, and we complain about them a lot, and we call them names, and I've heard all the terminologies. But God bless them for even wanting to be a cop, because you got to be out of your mind to be a cop nowadays. But one of the issues that we have with the youth today is just technology and life itself. Kids nowadays I live on the beach, right? I watch 100 people a day walk by, and not one person is walking by with their head up looking at the beautiful scenery. They're looking at their phone as they're walking down the beach. And our youth today, and this has been in studies, they're so consumed in their phone and their social media that they don't know how to communicate anymore. They only know how to communicate through words on a phone and pictures, where we, as a different generation, we knew how to talk to each other. And that's a double-edged sword also with the new youth on the street side, because these kids today are grown up. They're raised by social media. They're raised by Facebook and video games and violence. And violence feeds violence. It breeds violence, and we're in this whirlwind of it today. So this direction of everything can go a million different ways, if you understand what I'm saying.
Totally.
So
Right.
From the community policing part all the way over to the educational part of retraining police officers today to function better in the streets, we have to do something as a whole, as a nation. You might find this funny. Karen and I were driving down the road the other day having this exact same conversation. because it's in my house too. I've got 16-year-old twin boys that don't come out of their bedroom unless there's ice cream in the kitchen. And they're so glued to a
Mine's
TV,
13,
right?
yeah.
But what Karen and I were saying, what do we do? What's got to take place to stop this national tragedy? And we both came up with maybe Michael Jackson needs to come back and do another "We Are the World" song. If something has to change that we can, change as a whole, because everybody has got a different issue.
Yeah, you're
And,
right. Yeah.
So, it's tragic that we're going through this, but we're going to have to find a whole different way of doing things, and who's going to be the side that does it? Because now what we need is, like we always discuss, we even discussed it on Trauma Behind the Badge, we need support from the top down, not from the bottom up.
That's right,
we need
right.
it from the top down. If our administrators and our upper level people don't support us, we're not going to be able to get this into our departments and our communities. But the sad part is our government, our leaders today, they can't even get along.
Right.
Well, that's been,
They
we need to leave the politicians out of it. Like we talked about on the last show, it starts at grassroots, and we've got to bring leaders together. But there is a tide, and things are starting to change. And, it starts with voices like yours, Doug, and Kim, and the program that we're rolling out through a badge of honor, healing our heroes through laughter, where we can do the comedy show. But speaking of tides, we've got a bunch of things going on. We've got tomorrow night, so Thursday night, the actual parade, or
I think it's at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it starts at 4, but you can start lining up at 3. Tomorrow night is Frisco Backs the Blue, so Frisco, Texas. You will be in your vehicles for this, so just FYI, for everybody worried about the COVID thing, you're inside your own vehicle, and we'll be lining up the vehicles, and we'll be heading
At Toyota
out.
Stadium.
Yep.
Toyota Arena.
Toyota Stadium in Frisco. We'll be heading out and going to police headquarters in Frisco to show our support for Frisco PD and all blue around the country. And we have got, Our Watch, one of our partners.
Yes.
John, they do amazing work. John and I and Jeff, we were out at the ranch. They've got a first responder couples workshop coming up on August 15th. That goes from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Let me cut you off real quick. Doug, when you and Karen come down here, you guys are coming down here for Walk the Bridge, right? On the 26th of September?
Yeah, well, the plan is, we've been discussing it, is we want to bring some of the guys from Trauma Behind the Badge as well.
That'd be fantastic, because you know what? I'd really like to introduce you to these people from Our Watch with the equestrian therapy.
Yep.
We'd like to really introduce you to these guys, bring you out to the ranch, and show you what they do.
They are truly
That'd
amazing.
be amazing.
All right, well, we'll talk later. But, yeah, that would be great. If you guys from the guys from Trauma Behind the Badge, Chris Fields and all those guys want to come down, like I said, we got you all hooked up on hotels. Just let me know the day, and we'll set you up on that.
Cool. So that is
Sounds like a plan.
that is at Our Watch. And dispatchers, hello dispatchers. You are a first responder. Don't let anybody tell you different. You have your own workshop, very special, August 18th, 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. I love how they're doing the days in the evening. So, again, first responder couples workshop August 15th, dispatcher workshop August 18th. And if you want to go ahead and register for those, you can register on their website, Our Watch. That's O-U-R. That's the word I'm saying. OurWatchTX.org. And you can register and do everything on their website. Then on Saturday, September 12th, we've got the 9/11 Heroes Run. You can sign up. It's right here in the DFW. We have a little bit of a location change, but it's all on travismannion.org. That's travismanion.org. You can sign up for the race. You can do it virtually if you want. And so go there. Last year we had 60,000 runners from around the world.
Excellent.
So it's an incredibly awesome program. Then we've got September 26th, Hands Across the Bridge, that John just talked about.
We just got the resolution signed by both Senator Bob Hall and Redder Bauer. It's going to the Dallas City Council for signature. And if you look behind me, you will see now that we got the bridge named Heroes Bridge in memory for our veterans in honor of our veterans and our first responders. It's the first ever national bridge that was named in honor of post-traumatic stress. So I want to thank all the politicians and Chris Kazar from the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center and Third Watch for pushing this along and getting this bridge named, and many more pillars to come.
Yes, and you can find out more at walkthebridge.org. It's like lots of websites here. All right, we got to continue here. So how do you support Mad Radio so we can continue to do the awesome things that we are doing, just like this evening? Couple of ways. YouTube. We have a brand new YouTube. Thank you, John. You can go to YouTube, Mad Radio Texas. Hit that subscribe button because we need the magic number for YouTube is 200, folks. So we need your support there. You can also visit abadgeofhonor.com. Click on Mad Radio. Got a little donate button there because everything that we do, you guys see the finished product. You don't see what's going on behind the scenes, and we can't do it without your support. So if you wouldn't mind doing that. And then a really cool way is if you want your Texas license to carry, I'm your gal. Been an instructor since 2014. Visit thetexasltconline.com. Put in coupon code MAD Radio. Show your support for Mad Radio. Get your Texas license to carry. Do it online. Again, that's thetexasltconline.com.
Excellent.
Coupon code MAD Radio.
Man, once again, our hour went really quick.
Woo!
Doug, before we got to go, anything that you want to plug? Survive First, Trauma Behind the Badge?
Well, I will tell you this, from the team from Survive First and the team from Trauma Behind the Badge, we love what you guys are doing. We highly respect you guys. You know that. You're our friends.
Thank you.
We love having you on the panel with Trauma Behind the Badge. We're always here for you. Anything we can do for you guys, you let us know. We're honored, and keep up the good work, please. People need you guys. If nobody's told you that today, I'm here to tell you, first responders and their families, they need you guys, and we need you to continue the projects you're doing. So please, the people who are listening, support this organization. We support them, and we need everybody's help in order for all of us to live happy and stay alive.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Kim, man. Kim, with co-director on Healing Our Heroes with Laughter. Any final thoughts, and plug your website?
I just want to say to anybody that needs any help, reach out to these guys. They're awesome. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be ashamed of it. It's part of it. That's what it is. You can pick me up and follow me and do all that stuff by one website, KimWadsworthComedy.com, and that'll give you all my links.
All right.
Awesome.
Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having
everything you do,
me.
and thank you for the laughter.
Thank you for the laughter.
Want to thank our board op, Gary. What's up, Gary? Thank you for doing what you're doing back there. And Sam, once again, it's always a pleasure to share a microphone and a studio with you. I think we really got to get more time. We really, because our hours go too quick. I want to thank Doug Monda from Florida with First Survive First and Trauma Behind the Badge. Any closing?
Just everybody, stay safe out there. Thank you to all our first responders, everybody on the front lines out there, our EMS, our sheriffs, from federal all the way down to municipal. I think that covers it. Our hearts go out to you every day. We are praying for you. Please stay safe and know you have a tremendous family right here in Arlington, Texas that backs you all the way.
Yep, and God bless you.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, and don't forget that support of your police isn't anti anything else.
Right.
So it's not against anybody else. It's supporting the things that need to happen and the changes that need to happen, perhaps with with the police departments
Thank
all
you for
across
that.
the U.S.
Thank you.
and the world, for that
All right.
matter.
You're right.
And on that.
All right. Well, take care, Doug. I'll give you a shout a little later. And until next week,
Yes, sir.
follow us on Facebook, follow us on
YouTube?
Instagram, and check us out on the 26th. Come out tomorrow to Frisco and be part of Back to Blue Parade. Until then, God bless.
Bye, Doug.
See you, Sam.
Bye.